What's up?
Alright, so we're going to intro it.
So, I'll at least introduce us as like Wedge and the Hardware Hound.
Wedge and the Hardware. Oh, good. Yes, I like that.
So, I don't. Name-wise,
And, you know,
I have no
for
idea.
people who don't know, it's not Wedge from Final Fantasy VII.
But it kind of is.
Kind of is. He's cool too.
It's not Wedge from Star Wars, but it kind of is.
He's Wedge.
It's just Wedge. Because honestly, it relates to all those things.
So yeah, I figure we have been discussing way too much nerd stuff, and we figured what's a better place to, throw up all your nerd stuff than on the internet? Is that what everyone else does?
We realized that most of our free time, or just generally walking around in the same areas, is just nerd dumping all of our gripes about movies or games, or talking about what's the most amazing food thing that we've found.
Or terrible, you know, when it doesn't end well. But it was still worth it.
Yeah, so we figured we'd do something productive.
Yeah, I like this. Productive is something that I'm great at because I'm a lazy nerd. That's what I do. Right.
Well, it's passive, though, because we just turn on a mic and call it good.
I guess when I'm reviewing hardware, that's kind of productive. So, whatever. So, all right. We need to talk about Batman versus Superman because it's happening, and we've been going back and forth on this thing for forever. And I don't think that we really disagree on anything, so we're just going to be kind of ranting here. But,
yeah, neither of us really have the highest of hopes for Batman vs. Superman. We think it could be successful, but at the end of the day, we're thinking it's going to be a trap, because that's every Zack Snyder movie.
Okay, so Batfleck.
Batman will be the most amazing thing about the movie.
I was not going to say, I would not have said that 6 months ago.
Yeah, originally
Or
we're
not.
like, oh, we hate everything that they're doing with this Batman, and, you know, it's not that we didn't believe in Ben Affleck. We actually
I
thought...
didn't believe in Ben
Okay.
Affleck.
It's not that...
I had to wait. I had to see a trailer first.
Yeah. So... Okay, so I say we. But, you know, he'd been working out, and he's, you know, clearly had some good acting roles if you had seen them,
Yeah.
as opposed to, you know, your last memory being Daredevil.
Yeah.
But, you know, he
Not the
looks
Netflix
like a
one.
Bruce. He looks like a Bruce Wayne, which is better than it had been.
He definitely got into shape for the role, which was nice. I mean, he definitely tried to look the part.
Yeah, and, you know, it was obvious from the beginning that they're going the whole Dark Knight Returns
So
path.
when I saw the first trailer, Man of Steel was okay. Basically, we had to put up with, I don't know, what was it, hour and a half worth of just very out there idealism about Clark Kent becoming Superman that didn't feel very, very continuative to me. Didn't feel like it was flowed, and then we got to the end and we got to watch Superman be Superman. I mean, he's crashing through buildings, and he's doing all those things that you used to see in the animated movie, and it was kind of like, well, that was worth it. And then I kind of was like, maybe?
I think my biggest beef was... Because when I look back at the movie, it's not that I felt that it was a terrible movie when I watched it. It was just when I watch it, I always get really irritated by everything that's happening. Like, what's the dad Kent's name?
Jor-El?
No.
Oh, right.
No. The Kent.
Yeah. Pa Kent?
Yeah, we'll just go Pa Kent.
Pa Kent.
So, you know, it's... was it Kevin Costner?
Yes, it was Kevin Costner.
Yeah,
Yes.
so, you know...
And he wasn't being Kevin Costner.
He wasn't being Pa Kent. It's like, I get it, you know, keep your identity a secret. But, I mean, come on. Dying for the dog. Just let the man be super... He's, like, faster than the Flash to begin with. I say faster than the Flash. I don't mean that. I'm sorry.
So,
but what I mean is, he's fast enough that he probably could have grabbed the dog, and nobody would have even noticed.
Could have
if
just
they
grabbed
let
the
Superman...
dog and went to the other side of the freaking tornado. I mean, but I hate
Not
I'm gonna.
Pocket. I mean,
yeah,
Clark.
Yeah. But I hate I'm gonna do this, and I hope, but at least Smallville knew how to properly kill Clark's dad, and that was a heart attack. Because Superman can't do nothing about a heart attack, and it had that severity that you needed. I mean, and I'm saying this about Smallville. I will wash my mouth out thoroughly when I'm done with this, but it at least had the severity that you would expect, because it's the one thing that Clark can't control. But just that did drive me nuts too. Well, that's what I'm worried about with Batman vs Superman. I think we're gonna have these parts that are going to. Well, all right. So we bring this up a lot in our personal conversations, but the reality is we don't want a Zack Snyder movie. We really just want a Bruce Timm movie.
Yes, absolutely. So everything that Bruce Timm, who, if you're not familiar, is pretty much in charge of all of the DC animated films. Anything he's touched is gold. Like, he knows how to take material that's actually there, or make his own material and make it fit and work to the characters. Because he does what the one thing that the DC movies haven't done is understood the characters first and then built the story around it.
So and I think the biggest deal is I mean, as soon as we heard that Zack Snyder was doing the sequel and he casted Ben Affleck, it's like, okay, it's going to be terrible. And then the first trailer drops.
I think my first reaction for the first trailer was just that everything wants to be Batman when Superman shouldn't be acting like Batman.
That too. And Lex Luthor is acting like the Joker from The Dark Knight. But I gotta say that the trailer was a mixed emotion to me. When it first started and they had that little banter scene between Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent,
we're like, oh wow, that's amazing.
Honestly, that was the best Bruce Wayne I think I've ever seen on live camera. And I hate to say it, but I get that everybody talks about Bruce Wayne being the playboy. But even though he was a playboy,
he was run his company.
Yeah, and he was a sophisticated playboy. He wasn't the guy who jumped into the middle of a fountain in the middle of a restaurant like he had no responsibility. And, Batman Begins. He wasn't putting on an act. He just was a rich guy who could date whatever female he wanted and just had that kind of mentality to him.
I wanted to compare it to, like, Brad Pitt or something, but, I don't actually...
Donald Trump.
I don't know. Yes, sophisticated.
Sure. Yeah. So, but that banner between them was great, and I felt like you just the non-committal stares of just we're getting our message across, but we're doing it in a civilized fashion was done really well, and then the rest of the trailer happened. Oh,
so another trailer popped down, and it has nothing. I mean, the first few minutes of it have nothing to do with any fighting between Batman or Superman. What it does have to do with is a lot of Batman fighting. And we watch and we're like, that's the Batman fighting we want. It's like you're doing the right things. You're just, I don't believe that you could pull off the story.
Now, in all reality, if you were doing that, you'd probably be killing those guys.
Oh yeah. But I mean, it's almost exactly like playing like Arkham City, Arkham Asylum. Like, I throw a batarang and cut a guy off of a rope and he's dangling by his feet, and he drops, 5 stories down onto his head, and he's like, oh, he's just unconscious.
The Batman, was it Arkham Knight with a terrible PC port? The last one was it Arkham Knight?
Yeah.
It's just you could like run people over with the Batmobile. It's like
It's fine.
Batmobile's
There's a magical.
it's a rubber Batmobile. They're gonna be fine.
It'll be okay.
It's like rubber bullets. They don't get killed when you hit them with the rubber Batmobile.
Yeah, and it was always an old theory of some friends of mine, just that anytime you see a criminal just barely not die, like there was a Batman episode where he's fighting a bunch of guys on a blimp, and he's just chucking them out of the blimp, you know, and this blimp's like, you know, hundreds of feet off the ground, and then you see the criminal and he falls, and then he lands on top of some awning, and you know, rolls safely and just falls off and is unconscious. It's like, no.
He'll be fine. He'll get up. He'll be good.
It's what we like to call Batman vision. Like,
Bat
he's
vision.
killing people. But so far as he's concerned, when he tossed him out, that guy landed safely and unconsciously.
Okay, well, hey, you know, that's not okay, but so I'm sure when Ben Affleck, you know, crushes that guy's head through the floor so hard that he goes through it with his head stuck in the floor, that he did have multiple compound fractures in his skull and in his neck, and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
When the guy from the raid does it, that guy's dead.
Like, it was...
When Batman does it,
Yeah.
it's in the safest manner possible.
But I admit, that scene was really awesome. In fact, the more Ben Affleck, more Batfleck I see, the more I'm like, wow, he is actually going to be one of the best parts of this movie. And actually, I don't feel like... I'm starting to maybe renege a little bit on Jesse Eisenberg. May not be... I don't think he's terrible in and of himself.
Yeah, it's just going to be... I guess it's the original takes on characters. When, you know, it's what we always say is right about Marvel movies, is that they understand the character first.
Yeah.
And so they have something to stand on, as opposed to faulty logic. Like, you know, we've been going back and forth on the, you know, the one thing that irritates every Batman fan, and that's if there's even a 1% chance.
Oh my goodness! And here's the thing: if all right, guys, if you haven't seen Justice League Doom, all right, this is the 1% chance Batman. This is the real 1%.
Yeah,
chance.
The real 1% chance Batman plans that I have a way to take down everybody. But you know, it's funny. He has. Of course, the premise in Justice League Doom is that it's not in his brain, you know, what was it that I was going to do in order to stop them? No, for some reason he kept it in his computer.
Yeah,
but
he kept
I mean,
it.
You know, but he also doesn't expect a lot of people to show up in the Batcave either.
Yeah, I mean, which involved the Martian Manhunter being on fire for forever, like just eternal burning.
Yeah, like the way that, I mean. I guess. Okay, spoilers. We're just gonna spoil Justice League Doom for a little bit.
So if you guys haven't seen it, we'll tell you when to skip ahead. We'll put an annotation or something. But yeah,
or we'll just do
warning
what
you.
Mr. Sunday does and just say, "Hey, here's a link." It's like if you don't want to hear the spoiler, press this.
Yeah, that'll work.
So basically, the premise of Justice League Doom is that, well, I mean, other than it's basically the Legion of Doom gathering together for the first time to take down the Justice League. And how they do it is brilliant. What they do is they know that Batman is prepared for everything. That's like the premise, is that Batman will always have a plan for everything. So they break into his Batcave and they steal all of his plans to take down every single superhero.
But here's the thing. The Justice League doesn't know Batman has this.
So you're like, oh my gosh, who's doing all these crazy things to all of us? And Batman's like, it's me.
Yeah.
But I can fix it.
He's like, I can fix it, and you better listen to me right now because we don't have time for this, because there is literally people about to die, and this is not good.
It's so, yeah, once again, Bruce Timm makes the world taste better.
Yes.
So.
Well, okay, so you've got Batman saying... The other thing that's been bugging me, it's been hitting me in my mind, is I keep on rehearsing that line that Henry Cavill says where he's saying, you know, the Bat is dead. Consider this mercy on the trailer. And I'm like, You're a Boy Scout, man. What is this? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Are you actually okay? The only reason why you snapped Zod's neck is because he was about ready to heat vision kill a bunch of innocent people, and you cried about that after you did it.
It's like,
come on,
please, Superman. You're gonna make threats?
Yeah.
I mean, I at least appreciated it in Winter Soldier. So like, it's like, come on, Boy Scout. I know you're not gonna do anything. Yep, you're right.
Wait.
She will.
Oh man, what part of that was that? I should solely remember this.
When they got the guy with the glasses on top of the building, it's funny. For like 2 years, I remember his name. And
he did the Stephen Strange name drop for Doctor Strange. That guy. Yeah.
And then
the Winter Soldier rips him out of the car and throws him into a truck. Later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So then, Natasha just
kicks him.
Spartan kicks him off the roof. You're like, yeah!
Yeah.
But, it's what we were, back to what we were talking about. It's like, yeah, so 1% I need to destroy them is kind of a faulty logic. Because, somebody made an amazing comment in one of the forum posts. It was, there's a 1% chance that this 86-year-old grandma is a 29-year-old ninja. So I pretty much had to kill her.
Sorry, Grams. You're done.
1% chance. It's possible.
I'm really going to miss your Christmas cookies, but there's a 1% chance.
So,
yep, there we go. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, destroying things because of 1% odds. There's a lot of 1% odds. Like, we should destroy every nuclear facility for nuclear power because there's a 1% chance that it will blow up. There's probably like a 20% chance that it will blow up and cause a radioactive meltdown. And, it's just our odds for disaster are always on the edge, and to say that you should completely destroy something for 1% is, every car. Destroy every car, because it's going to be, used for vehicular manslaughter.
You just brought me to two really big points, and I think this is one of the big problems. I can almost say that this is a problem with DC movies in general. And even Christopher Nolan's Batman. And don't get me wrong. I mean, Dark Knight Rises The Dark Knight is a phenomenal movie. I like The Dark Knight Rises. I really enjoyed it. But I get it. I mean, it's not on the, there's something about The Dark Knight that just, it definitely was brought up notch. But there's two things that if it doesn't make sense to the character, it's not going to make sense to the audience.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is when you really look at Batman and Superman's conflict in this movie, now, we could be wrong. We could have not enough info in the trailers.
Yeah.
We're not likely at this point.
The way that I feel like it would turn around for me is if it sort of went along the same premise as The Dark Knight Returns and just, Superman's like, you know what, everybody thinks I'm kind of evil, and, I'll just work with the government because, they know what they're doing. And, he'll run around and sort of be their super cop guy against vigilante heroes and stuff. And, and that be a premise for a reason to fight Batman. But there's not a whole lot to stand on for Batman, even, for a fight that caused a lot of casualties. That's more of a, we need to have a man-to-man talk situation I just beat up a whole bunch of guys so I could talk to you, maybe.
I guess, honestly, from the trailer, it just feels like these two are having a little kindergarten schoolyard fight. But they're superheroes. And it's like, come on, guys. Really? You would... But, I mean, even if Superman was just like, hey, you're a vigilante, and every time you do this, I'm going to stop you. And I'm going to give you a few warnings, but if I have to warn you one more time, I'm just going to turn you into authorities and you'll be done as Batman. That would be enough to get Batman to say, all right, it's going down now. That would
a reasonable reason.
And which what we're doing is we're just hashing out essentially
the internet.
Well, the internet, yeah. But we're also hashing out the Batman Superman animated movie, which is
Yeah, it's
basically
like,
that's
oh yeah, this is what I want. The Batman Superman movie.
Superman's all like, hey,
you need to
take this
stop
vigilante
this.
crap out of my town. Batman says, screw you, here's some
just-
kryptonite.
Yeah. He just punches Superman in the face and he actually moves, which is really surprising to Superman. So Superman's gonna take him down, and he just pulls out a little bit of shard of kryptonite, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, no!" Ah.
But then Superman really quickly understands that, okay, there's something big going on, and I probably need to listen to this guy.
Yeah.
Just
And that's how every Batman fight stops with a superhero. Like he runs into lots of fights with superheroes, and almost all of them stop with "We need to talk." You
Yeah.
know, that's because he's a rational, smart person.
yeah.
And this is not a rational, smart Batman.
Not-
What's the Justice League one that had the Superman, Green Lantern, Batman fight?
Oh man. Oh, that was I think the New 52. I can't remember what it's called, but it was one of the New 52 origins of the Justice League, and they had Darkseid in it. And yeah.
Whatever is it on that list?
Let me see if I can find it.
War?
I think it is War. Justice
Yeah.
League War. I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, that one was kind of amazing. I mean, it was basically Green Lantern being the, I guess Green Lantern being the Batman from this Batman Superman movie.
But that makes sense for
Yeah.
Hal Jordan.
Yeah. And the first thing that Batman does to stop the fight is, well, okay, let's start with saying that Batman was trying to fight him back for a little bit.
Very shortly.
Yeah, and when he realized the first 3 tricks weren't gonna really sell it for him, he kind of just said, as soon as Superman was about to punch him in the face, he just like, "Look, Clark," and then and then Superman just dead stops, and he's like, "What?"
And he also says in it, he says, "All right, you punch to hurt, but you do not punch to kill," and just stands there and just stops.
Right.
It's just like,
because Batman realizes that Superman's not gonna hurt me.
no,
Like,
not if I just stand here and don't do anything.
That's the big part, I guess, that really irks us, is that's the Superman that Superman is. He's not a Superman that starts fights.
Nope.
He just stands there because he expects to not get hurt, really.
Superman's always been the guy who gives the bad guy a chance. Why wouldn't he give the good guy a chance?
Right. Even if he's a vigilante.
Yeah, even if he's a vigilante. And, and that's... But, and I mentioned Dark Knight in this earlier, but even then, that's not entirely true. But one of the problems I think even that Man of Steel has, and I think that just these new DC movies with this direction are headed, heroes always represent hope. They represent hope for people, not hope in themselves, hope in the world that they live in. That there is a reason why they're fighting for this world, because people deserve to be free from oppression, from villainy, and superpowers. And
I think they are taking the hope route with Superman, but just sort of making it messianic.
Yeah. And it's not... But Batman's kind of like, whatever, I just do this.
I just fix it.
Yeah. And it's like, it just doesn't have that feel that we're used to having from our superhero stories. And maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe that isn't a bad thing. But it just seems to have a disconnect. And maybe I'm just rambling. Who knows?
Well, to sum up for that is just, we're not going to hate the movie if they can pull off a story that's rational. And, well, I say rational. I mean rational for a superhero movie. And, just so long as we don't come out of the movie hating the characters, I think we'll be okay.
Well, and that's good, because I haven't come out of the trailers hating the characters. If anything, Jeremy Irons Alfred I'm sold on.
Yeah.
I'm sold on Jeremy Irons Alfred.
The Wonder Woman, leap jump with the sword, that at least sold me a little bit. Everything up until now, when it's revolved around Wonder Woman, I've kind of just been like...
She hasn't talked in any of the trailers.
No, she did. She had
did.
one. She had one line in one of them.
One line, yeah. So it's just been we haven't really seen who she is as a character.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what she sounds like as of Wonder Woman. I guess, once again, if if Xena wasn't past her prime. Well,
yeah.
to be fair, I mean, how long ago was?
Oh, it was
She did it-
90s. That was like early 90s. Mid-90s?
Yeah, I mean, she's still doing amazing things with
Parks and Rec.
Ash versus the Evil Dead
Okay.
and Shield. Like, she's still doing amazing action things. I really liked her in Burn Notice. She played this amazing sniper, and even then, she was still like super built and tough and scary. I guess that's the thing. Right now, I expect Wonder Woman to make me feel like less of a man because she's so intimidating. Not because she's powerful, just because like I'm standing next to her and I think she can tear me apart.
Well, okay, and one thing that they said, I read this on one of the interviews from IO9 had an expert from one of the interviews, and they said that Wonder Woman's sexuality is her superpower. And I'm like, what?
No, that's Black
What?
Widow's superpower.
Yeah, like if anything, she's like trying to fight the stereotype that sexuality is all that female superheroes have.
Well,
what?
Again, Bruce Timm, just going back to the DC animated universe and the Wonder Woman movie. Like, there's this lady that's working with whatever the lead guy, played by Nathan Fillion.
Oh yeah, the Air Force
Air Force
pilot guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and this lady in this business office is all like, "Hey, could you help me move my desk?"
Super flirty.
Yeah, super
like,
flirty.
Hey,
so,
handsome guy.
So I really need your help to move my desk. And Wonder Woman's like, why don't you just move it yourself?
Yeah,
it's like,
and then proceeds to move it herself with one hand.
Yeah, she just picks up the whole desk with one hand.
It's like, you're a shame to women.
And it was amazing. And it's just, I don't know what we're expecting. I think the animated universe sort of just ruined anything that could possibly happen live action that doesn't involve Bruce Timm.
Yeah, and honestly, my obvious nerd dream, I'm sure it's yours too, is Bruce Timm.
Be the
we are
Kevin
hiring
Feige
you. Yeah. I would think that would just turn the DC universe around, and we would have this super awesome Marvel and DC universe, and it would just be super exciting.
I know for the last 20 to 25 minutes, we've pretty much repeated everything that the internet says, but we're very passionate about Bruce Timm's stuff. He's just...
Yeah, and it's,
He hasn't I know that... I think the one thing that people might be a little more hesitant about is the Killing joke. I think people just didn't like the story, other than... It made Oracle, and Oracle was cool, but it was just the way that they did it.
Yeah.
But, Mark Hamill is coming back for the Joker one more time, so that's nice.
Well, and I guess the thing is what's really funny about the Bruce Timm thing is we come from different backgrounds. You had more experience with comics and reading, where my experience with Batman was just like tidbits of the animated series and the Superman the animated series, when I was growing up.
Right.
But then I, start seeing these new DC movies, and I love watching cartoons because what else do you do when you're about ready to turn 31? You keep watching animated movies, right? I mean, series movies, they're too much for me.
Yeah, we're old married men with children, and it's just it doesn't make DC animated films any less awesome.
Nope, it does not.
It's just, go back to the Batman, the animated series, and it holds up incredibly well.
Although, what was that New 52 one you made me read? You didn't make me, but...
Yeah, so the New
Batman.
52 Batman, the Death in the Family.
Death in the Family.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was just hardcore.
That Joker was just over the top, and I think that was one of my favorite Joker stories of all time.
But Batman was over the top too,
yeah.
in the best ways possible.
And one thing I've really appreciated about Zach, what's his name? Anyway, the guy who's been doing the New 52 Batman. On the tip of my tongue, I keep on saying Zack Snyder, but that is
yeah, he's totally been doing the new.
Yeah, that's not. I don't think that's his name.
I'll look it up while you're
maybe
talking.
it's something else, Snyder. Anyway, one thing that
Scott Snyder.
Scott Snyder.
That's why the.
That's my problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
I know. One thing that he's done remarkably well is that Batman's a detective again. And that's what's been missing from every Batman film, is that Batman's not a detective. He's just a very rich guy with a lot of resources, but he's never been intelligent. He's never been searching for clues, being the guy who's on top of the ball.
Yeah.
He's never that.
Honestly, the video games probably do a better job of that.
Always. Well, I say always.
Of course.
I mean, since Arkham Asylum. If you go back to any Batman game before that, it's impossibly hard and terrible.
But, I mean, and to be fair, when you're trying to actually make some puzzle-solving, problem-solving in the game, that's so that you're not just a button masher beat him up the entire time, you kind of have to make Batman a detective.
And, you know, that's the one thing that irked me about Batman Begins and the Ra's al Ghul thing, because my favorite thing about Ra's al Ghul in the animated series is just every time he's like, "Well done, detective." And it's just, he only really acknowledged him as a detective. Like, because he knew who Bruce Wayne was, essentially. I'm pretty sure he knew that he was.
Yeah,
Bruce
I wouldn't know for sure.
I'm pretty sure. But, you know, it's just, he's not acknowledged as the smartest man in the room. And, you know, I get it when people want, like, a Riddler movie, because, like, then he actually gets a chance to be.
Unless it's a Jim Carrey Riddler movie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, well, okay, I didn't. Okay, to be fair, Val Kilmer was the greatest Bruce Wayne up to this point. And everybody on the internet's gonna say, "What? You're freaking crazy." He's the only one that ever took care of his company. He was the only one ever involved with Wayne Industries. I'm not saying he's a good Batman, and I know that he doesn't look like a Bruce Wayne because he's this blonde-haired guy.
Or the curly Q.
Or whatever his hair was.
Yeah.
But he actually cared about his company. He actually kind of solved things. He was clever. And, you know, in spite of the terrible lines and cartooniness, and I mean, it's not Batman and Robin, but Batman Forever, at least, you know, he was a good Batman-ish, but he was an excellent Bruce Wayne.
And we can all agree that he wasn't George Clooney. We won't go there. But yeah, Batman vs Superman.
Cowabunga.
I think we just.
Yeah. All right. We spent a lot of time on that, and
we're definitely excited about Civil War.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a lot to say about it because.
Well, we're not angry.
We're not angry. And also, you know, they don't give you the whole plot in their trailer, which is what we just got from the other one. So
they just keep the one thing that Batman Superman keeps doing is let me
man.
release another clip that shows you more of the story.
We'll touch on Doctor Strange and Black Panther as it gets closer. So, I don't know. We're doing surprisingly terrible on time, and by terrible I mean that. We're
like, oh, hey, let's do like a 30-minute
Yeah, let's see if we
clip.
can do this and whatever. I guess that's why every podcast is like an hour and a half. So, which makes sense. But I figure I want to bring up some election stuff, not because we're going to talk politics. You're not going to talk politics.
We're kind of going to talk
We're going to kind of, but we're not going to get into the
real politics.
Yeah, because we had some fun ideas. Everybody's been complaining about Trump. And if he becomes president, everyone's going to move to Canada.
Yeah, because that's, you know, like they always do. So we just were thinking that at the end of the day, we should think of something positive that'll happen with regardless of who ends up as the president at this point, because we've apparently lost faith in everything.
In humanity, why not?
But, you know, we want a positive spin on what's happening in
So
politics.
I found out, guys, that there is a good thing if Trump wins. A really good thing. Now, we all know that being a president is very stressful. You know, they turn gray, they wrinkle up. It's like really hard.
Yeah, you do a side-by-side picture. It's like
what?
here's like this really young George Bush, and it's like, oh my gosh, what happened to you?
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, we've concluded that if Trump wins and becomes president, 4 years from now, we are pretty confident his comb over will die.
Yeah,
He will
be
lose
a
all
bald
of his
Trump.
hair. He'll be bald. So
And we're pretty happy about that.
yeah,
because
that's great news.
we would love to see that comb over disappear.
Donald Trump for president. Kill the comb over.
Pretty much.
Kill the comb over.
Kill the comb over.
But then so we got Trump and Hillary forefronting the primaries. So what would be our good news if Hillary wins?
You were saying something about servers.
Oh yes, safety for servers. So yes, we would have servers that we would protect the servers because that email server did not make it out alive for her. So we just, if she was president, she wouldn't have to destroy her servers because she's the president. She does whatever she wants.
We have people for that.
Yeah, she doesn't have to worry about it. So she doesn't have to destroy servers anymore. So we'd be protecting servers with Hillary.
Yeah, we appreciate the safety of all electronics.
Safety of all electronics. Unless it's Dell, then we're kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah.
So
I don't think we should actually rant about that one.
No.
That's a hardware problem in itself that we've had. Anyway,
it's what happens when you have to work on them.
And and this is, I'm not saying that there's I don't actually know if there's any good third party candidates at all. But I feel like this is the perfect time in history for somebody to write in a vote, at the actual elections, and just put Nick Offerman for president.
So, yeah. So if everybody writes in Nick Offerman, we could make him president if he accept. But he's not running. How does that work if you're not running again?
I don't know. Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, like if everybody wrote you in and you won, even though you weren't running,
do you
win?
Do you just I don't really want to be president, and I know y'all did that, so it's gonna go to I don't know.
That'd be weird. But yeah,
I know there's a premise of at least 2 or 3 movies where that was the case. So, and the thing is that it's if Nick Offerman were president, I really hope that he would just keep his massive beard, and that anything that revolves around him, if he ever gets a coin, that it has this mega beard on it, or there's a bust of him in the Smithsonian or something, and it's just
all of his glorious beard,
all beard.
Bam.
Somebody has to majestically put every single hair, for the. Was it Disney World or Disneyland that have those presidential wax statues?
Oh wow,
that were
rough.
animated, and just always have a Nick Offerman staring you down.
Oh man, yeah, I could write that in. Nick Offerman for president, 2016. Oh man, and for those of you who might not know who Nick Offerman is, Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, and you may be saying, "Oh, you mean he plays Ron Swanson?" No. Nick Offerman is Ron Swanson, Ron Swanson is Nick Offerman.
The man literally made you see all of his stuff is his canoe that he built or whatever in the background. He actually built that canoe.
He actually did that. In fact,
he has a book, I believe, called "Building Your Own Canoe."
He might have actually redacted his birth date on his birth certificate, and
the place with all of the city hazards of his code violations. That was his actual workshop attached to his house.
Just the manliest of men, except for Kamina. But
so on another related note, I made our hardware hound friend here watch Gurren Lagann. And
that's that'd be another hour conversation, man.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man.
Well,
but yes.
Wait, what do we got? Oh, we got 5 minutes.
We got 5 minutes.
All right.
We might just pick this up on the next one. Maybe just do it later tonight or next week. Because man, they'll just anime.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of those, but they're basically we started off. I needed to show One Punch Man, and it was and it's kind of just devolved from there.
Yeah.
So it's
you started me out on Kenshin.
Oh yeah. That's
Just
true.
started Kenshin was
Kenshin was
amazing.
good.
And then if you just watch the first 2 seasons, and then read the manga for the last one, and then you're happy. It's good.
That's my
It's
recommendation for anybody.
Oh man,
Just skip that 3rd season.
yeah. Whatever they were trying to do in the animated 3rd season, don't even try.
That's what happens.
I tried. It wasn't even worth it. Yeah, it's just
what happens when your comic book catches up. I mean, it hasn't caught up to what you're animating.
Yeah.
People really just need to take breaks and just, we'll finish the season whenever the story's finished.
But the art style in the manga is so close to what the show was that it was very, very easy to do.
Where were we?
I know we got into Deadpool a little bit and we started touching that.
Well, I mean, things that have happened since I turned it back on. We watched the Ghostbusters trailer.
Oh yeah. What? Women Ghostbusters? Well, we don't want women. Everybody in America is a bunch of chauvinists. We all know that.
I don't know if I have a whole lot to say. I really like what they did with the proton packs.
I like the ghosts. Ghosts looked fantastic. Like just that little extra blue hue seemed to really, just visually, I was like, oh wow, that looks really nice. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like I was expecting to be disappointed either. I actually never minded.
Oh yeah, I know most of the internet's not as happy with it. I'm pretty sure. I think it's like headlining articles are like, they got it perfect.
It's like when everybody was throwing a fit about Johnny Blaze being black. And it's like, come on.
I don't care, but the movie was terrible.
Movie was terrible, but I have to say, when that guy said flame on, I was like, no, that was a good choice. Like, that was a perfect... No, it felt way better. Not to sound racist, but a white guy totally couldn't have nailed that line the way that guy did. And it was just like... No, that was at least one of the really good choices that movie made amidst a ton of terrible, terrible choices that ruined it. But with a female Ghostbuster cast, my only real concern is it Melissa McCartney? Is that her name? McCarthy.
Yes.
Melissa McCarthy. I got to see her in Mike and Molly, and when she first got started,
she played the straight man.
Yeah, and I really liked her like that. I thought she was very, very she's got a good comedic sense to her. She doesn't have to be slapstick all the time. And it's everything else I've ever seen her in just seems super hardcore slapstick. And I'm like, eh. And I don't feel like the Ghostbuster movie is going to do that to her at all. The trailer made it look very, very mild. I was like,
Yeah, she wasn't overdoing that at all.
No.
In the trailer, which was nice. I'm trying to think of a comparative actor so far as slapstick is concerned. Unfortunately, I'm going too far back. I'm thinking like Marx Brothers.
Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, whoever's doing the Egon role with the engineer.
Yeah.
I don't know who she is, but she looks amazing. I appreciate that. You know what? Everybody was solid. I don't know how I feel about the. What did that scientist lady supposed to be doing?
Oh man!
I mean,
the physicist.
Yeah, some sort of theoretical physics, quantum mechanics. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I don't feel like we know enough about her other than the fact that she got threw up on.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, I get it to some extent why people would be upset about it. It does feel like the gender swapping is being crammed down our throats right now, just for the sake of doing it. But I didn't get that vibe from the trailer, and that made me happy. So, I don't know. Guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep.
So I think we got our Batman v Superman out of the way. not a whole else lot's happened other than me doing a crap ton of work on switching builds out because, the life of a reviewer. But you made me watch something. You make me watch lots of things.
I do.
But you made me watch Gurren Lagann. You know I hate terrible endings. And yet somehow you did it. You did it. So, Gurren Lagann.
So, I don't... So, it's something that I very hesitantly recommend. And it's for the normal pitfalls of most anime is over-sexualized things, unnecessary bathhouse scenes, and...
Yeah, we skipped that episode.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things. Like if you just skip like these one or two episodes, like the rest of the series solid. And you know what? It's my favorite thing to show people the greatest example of manning up, of just manliness. Now, it's not something I would recommend you get the manliness aspect out of. I mean, part of it is very much the monster truck shotgun womanizer kind of manliness is there, but also the very truthful manliness that is respect. And
well, I'm going to take you and I'm going to raise you a level. I'm going to say yes. They have every form of manliness there that is considered manliness. But there's only two forms that really stand out, and those are the ones that have respect and character. Mm-hmm. Because the one thing I got to say about Kamina and Simone is that I don't feel like either one of them were womanizers or just about monsters.
Well, you also missed the bathhouse episode.
Right.
But besides that...
Well, and there's that. But... Okay, but by the time they were ending Kamina's, let's just say spoilers right now, just in case, because if you have not seen the show, I say definitely worth your while. But
is there a way to make a YouTube video skip with the link? Is that how they've been doing it?
I think you can do that. I'm pretty sure you can do that. Yes, with an annotation.
Well, I might toss it up on your channel. You can figure it out.
Or if you set it up, I can just tell. We'll figure it out. But point is that right before Kamina dies, he maybe he has that little bit of a womanizer thing, but the other aspect is he also didn't have a woman, and then when he and Yoko kind of make that committal, it's like everything changes, and it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna make it up to you, and it's just, so I thought that was kind of cool. But Simone definitely has a way more upstanding commitment than but we get to see that developed more too by the end of the season. Well, the one run.
Yeah. Season, you mean, yeah, whole series. And it's something that I pointed out. There was a lot of series that tried to do what Gurren Lagann did in scale of epicness. And when I say epic, I mean like the literal definition of epic. Like everything that makes a Star Wars, Harry Potter thing in terms of how an epic is put together is what Gurren Lagann is the entire way through. But anybody who tries to repeat what Gurren Lagann did, they don't pull it off. And a lot of that is because the one thing that Gurren Lagann got right was what makes manliness. And I think what a lot of people miss about manliness is, well, respect and character.
If you're gonna get mopey, you're gonna get punched in the face.
Yes, that's the ideal lesson to learn from this show.
Oh my goodness. No, I think the big thing is, so I'm terrible about bad endings. I like the fairy tale or the, as you call it, the fanfic ending, where it's just everything's happy and everything. And
Season 4 Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Let me bring everybody together.
Yeah.
And super and mega happy. Well,
and I'm okay with that. But Gurren Lagann doesn't do that. And it was really weird because when I got to that point, of course, I finished without you at that point. When I got to that point of seeing, hey, you know, there's this ending that isn't super happy. But I didn't come at the end of the show saying, well, this feels terrible and depressed, though. But it's not even just that. All right. So, what's her name? That's Simone's girlfriend.
Nia?
Nia. It's Nia. Okay. It was Nia. I was thinking I wasn't sure. But so when Nia basically essentially dies, and you're like, what? It almost feels like when Nia is gone that we've got this super depressing ending. And then you have your final credits, and then they have kind of like an after credits final scene. And it is showing the new world, how everyone is reaching out through space, and they're trying to prevent any more catastrophes from happening just because of the warnings of the spiral event.
Spiral nemesis.
Nemesis, that's right. The
spiral.
Yeah. And so they're going to make sure that will never happen, and you know, and it's not even looking like that's what's actually going to happen. It sounds like the anti-spirals just had a misconception of what spiral power actually meant. But, and who knows? I mean, maybe they were keeping it open for something down the road. Who knows? But then they switch over to Yoko, and they have a scene, and they show her with older, you know, much older, with a smile on her face, and she's like a principal of her school. And it's not like one of those, you know, painful smiles where it's like, well, she's smiling, but deep down she still feels the pain. It is like a genuine, I'm super happy. It's like, okay, well, you lost Kamina, and you're
to a lesser extent, Kitan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Kitan to a lesser extent. And it's just like, what? Okay. And then you come to Simone, and he looks like he's kind of a vagabond, wandering around, but, you know, and Roshiu was mentioning how he's always looking after everyone and stuff, which is probably more realistic to what's actually going on, not an actual vagabond. But he runs into a kid who has trouble working a drill, and he's showing him how to do it right. And he's just got a smile on his face, like everything's great. And I'm like, this is weird, because in American culture, this is a bad ending. And yet, this is nothing but a happy ending. And it took me a long time to analyze, but I finally realized, like, this is the perfect ending, because what this was about to our characters was not, this wasn't the hero does the heroic thing and then gets everything they want. This is the hero does the right thing and accomplishes the goal that the hero set out to do, which was made very clear. Hey, our children are going to wake up to a day where they don't have to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. They don't have to worry about whether or not somebody from the surface is going to try to kill them. They don't have to be pushed back underground. They don't have to worry about when they hit a million population again on the world, what's going to happen. It's all about being able to wake up with peace and happiness and freedom. And it's like, oh, that's why my main characters are so happy, because they keep seeing it, and that's what makes them happy, and is that greater good. And I was like, that's kind of lost on anything American, pretty much. But it made me really happy to see something like that. I felt like it's not always about you or about the main character. Sometimes it's about that greater purpose. And I liked it. So yeah, Gurren Lagann, definite, but if you're going to watch it, do not watch the dub.
Oh,
Just go with the sub. Hulu has the sub.
Yeah. I hate to rag on a bunch of guys that, you know, I say worked hard. I kind of...
Who knows?
Kind of just depends on who's there. But, yeah, there's only a few shows where hearing English voices on top of an anime is okay. And that's pretty much anything by Studio Ghibli, which is just the Totoro and Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle, etc. And some very rare gems. I at least like to throw in, Cowboy Bebop under that.
I could see that, yeah.
But
I've never seen the sub, so the dub sounded good though. I
And-
thought Dragon Ball always sounded good.
Yeah, and that part of that for me is just that Goku's voice in the Japanese is just grating. And I hate to say that because that lady has a lot of respect, and it's just, yeah.
Well, grating to us, but that's
Yeah,
fair.
that's-
Yeah,
Actually, that brings up a good point. So I had I want to say it was the Hispanic dub. I don't know if it's Argentina or I don't know what South American or Central American country it was of Star Wars. Everybody kind of hated Han Solo and everybody loved Luke. And it's all like, why do you like this Han Solo? He's like the worst character ever. And then they got to America and they saw the actual original voices of the characters. Like, I get it now. The reason your Han Solo sounds amazing. Harrison Ford's actual voice is very good. But our Han Solo was very whiny and sounded like he doesn't get what he wants all the time. And Luke Skywalker's this very gruff, manly man.
I need to go get my power converters.
But I was going to Tashi Station to get power converters.
There we go. There we go. But if we jump in the light speed and we don't have our coordinates set, we might fly into a star or something. Yeah, I guess that would kind of ruin it.
Yeah.
Hopefully I didn't sound too much like Tom Haverford. My wife makes me do that all the time. She's like, just do the no, and I'm like, I don't want to. No.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Yeah. So yeah, no, anime, I get it. Anime's risky, and you always got to be careful, and you can definitely push some boundaries. You're like, I don't know if I should be watching this, but Gurren Lagann, I feel like was just, oh man, amazing show.
It does something right.
Yeah.
That other people don't.
I feel like Kenshin does it too, but you only really know Kenshin does it if you finish with the manga.
Yeah.
That's the way you really know.
Yeah. Getting through the comic part just makes everything make sense.
And honestly, if you're just really wanting that anime that gives you more of that super happy ending, Kenshin covers that one pretty well. Everybody gets a pretty happy ending in that one. I can't think of anything that's really dismal.
I didn't enjoy the movies. That was pretty dismal. But
does the movies pick up after where
they have
Anishi?
Yeah, they have
okay.
one. They have one that does sort of like a shortcut Anishi storyline and kind of just glances over it real quick, and then sort of just is intercutting that with Kenshin running off again, and because he has a disease and he wants to like die without having to make his family go through it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm totally for that based off of what the manga.
Yeah, you should probably stick with your
just,
happy ending on that one.
Honestly, if anything,
their satisfied ending is that he's finally gotten over his regrets and that his scars finally disappeared.
I thought that was the point of. The whole graveyard experience in the manga.
You'd think, right?
Okay, so it is kind of a rehash.
They just rehashed it to his death, and like his son hates him, and it's. But they do this kind of fun thing with what's the thief kid that sort of gets a little bit more optional.
Yahiko.
Yeah. So Yahiko is still doing the Kamiya Kashin style, and Kenshin's son, I forget his name.
Yeah,
he's trying to get Kenshin's master to teach him, so he's always out there training with him, and he's sort of like, yeah, whatever, kid. But he's still picking it up. Like he's still actually pulling off what his dad was able to do.
Yeah.
But then Yahiko's like, look, I'm gonna fight you with my style, and you find me with yours. And he's moving as fast as Kenshin. Like, he's just, like, not Yahiko. Like, Kenshin's son is, like, speeding around and being crazy. So then Yahiko just straight up takes him out, like, floors him, knocks the sword out of his hand with just the Kamiya Kashin style. And then, like, he's so Kenshin's son's super distraught, but what he fought him with was Kenshin Sakabato, his reverse blade sword. And so he, like, gifts it to Kenshin's son. But it's funny that he did it, but not Kenshin.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the whole thing was just super despair for the most part, and that was sort of the only, like, that's kind of interesting and cool, but and good for Yahiko that he was so well. I mean, even in just the comic, like, he got super awesome. Where, like, I can do this. I can do this.
It was
without
like
a sword.
Disarming people with his fingers, just grabbing the people's swords with his fingers, and it was cool. I liked where they went with that.
But
so yeah,
the movie's super depressing. But if you can go through the comic book series, Kenshin's amazing.
Gurren Lagann, if you really look past what you're used to seeing as a happy ending from an American standpoint, I think you can really see that this is actually a great ending, great show, very inspirational. In fact, once I feel like it, I'm gonna have one of those drills. I'm gonna have one of those around my neck at some point. But we'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll wrap up. We have some ideas for another one, and I'll try to edit this to a point where we can actually skip spoilers.
I think we can do it.
Yeah.
So cool. Podcasting. It's a thing, right?
Yeah. Catch you next time.
Hardware Hound, catch you later.
Yeah, I don't have a Seacrest out.
Honestly, it's taken me a long time to come up with mine. You'll find one eventually.
I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. All right. So for Wedge and the Hardware Hound, catch you later.